Okay, so, name 21 Bridges. Did you see it? I did. One sentence summary. Chadwick Boseman hunts down some cop killers in New York. But things are not as they seem unless you've ever seen a crime film before. Could you beat the villain? So, spoiler alert, but it's not really much of one. I suspected this having seen the trailer. But J.K. Simmons is the leader of some dodgy cops who are doing drug deals and stuff. So ultimately, even though Chadwick Boseman spends the film chasing two dudes, J.K. Simmons is the real villain of the piece. Could I beat him? Yeah, I could. And I wouldn't go in there and like murder everyone as Chadwick does. He's basically a Terminator in this film. I would take the evidence I've got of police corruption and then hand it to internal affairs because we know they exist. We see them in the film. So what I'm saying is he didn't need to murder everybody, but he did. Right, so how do you improve the film? For a film called 21 Bridges, there's surprisingly little bridges in this film. They were mentioned, but then like also the tunnels were closed and the rivers were closed and the roads and all that sort of stuff and the trains, so the two cop killers couldn't leave the island. It should have been called something more appropriate, like Hunt a Copper, or what if Batman was a New York City police detective, or something like that. Right, so at the start of the film, it's Chad, I'm just going to call him Chad from now on, Chad's dad's funeral, and we're beat over the head with the fact that he was a hero cop. And this is Chad's motivation for the whole film. And he doesn't really change. He's basically like Robocop, but even at the end of Robocop gets a heart. Pretty sure that was what happened. So I think it would have worked better if there's more characterization for Chad. So at the beginning of the film, after the funeral bit, there's seen that he's got a shrine of sadness, so he's like dead dad's hat and his picture, and a picture of like the Twin Towers. But also he's introduced to Chad's mum, and she is kind of getting on. She's clearly ill and she might have dementia or something. So it would have been more dramatic, perhaps, or interesting if Chad, who's like this righteous and avenging angel cop, is perhaps tempted to take a bribe so he can pay for her medical care, or he ignores a phone call from like her carer so he can go do police copping, and then she dies or something along those lines. But none of that happens. So there you go. Mike and Ray, I believe, are the two cop killers in this. And number one, their car is in a car crash, but it drives surprisingly well after that, but that's fine. Number two, they leave the car running as they're going to go and steal what they believe is 30 kilograms of coke. Is it kilograms? Yeah, maybe. They're going to steal some cocaine, but it turns out there's 300 kg of cocaine instead, and it's all gone a bit pear-shaped. They leave the car running when they're going to do their crime, because they want to get a fast getaway, presumably. But they also leave the window down, it's raining, and what happens if someone walks past, a ne'er-do-well, sees that this car is got the engine running, the windows down, they get in it and drive away. They look like idiots when they come out carrying their big bags of stolen cocaine. They've got to walk to a bus stop. Anyways, Chad's on the phone to a lady at the police information centre or something like that, and it seems like she's going to be important to the plot, and she is until she just stops being in the film, which was weird. Also, why did he leave his phone in the car that time so he could miss some vital information, but the rest of the time he's got his phone on him all the time? Anyways, so J.K. Simmons asks for Chad because Chad has this rep of shooting first and asking questions later, even though Chad's all like, look man, I've shot 8 dudes in the last 9 years and I've been cleared on all counts. It was all justified. I never shoot first. And then everyone else in the 8-5 precinct, they were like, oh, you should probably kill these guys as soon as you see them. And at no point until like the very end does Chad go, these guys are encouraging me to kill these people without asking any questions. How weird. And those other 2 detectives, they shot that guy who wasn't even involved in the crime, like, and he was unprovoked. This is very odd. he's given like this partner, a woman from the narcotics unit, and she mentions that she's got a kid, so she needs to know that he has her back because she doesn't want her kid to grow up without a mum. So number one, she's a narc. Number two, she's got a kid. She needs to pay for that kid. She's probably dirty, and she is. Number three, she's so worried about not getting shot or whatever and not going home to her kid, why don't you put a bulletproof vest on? Think about that. Anyways. You guys are sitting in my crime scene. So those guys, they get up out of the crime scene and they give Chad evils. And then, like, they're idiots if they're two detectives and they don't realise that them sitting in the crime scene could potentially contaminate it. Chad was right in that. There's some FBI guys who are like, oh, this is my jurisdiction. They're like, no, this is my jurisdiction. Again. And they give Chad until 5 a.m. It's like 1 a.m. when the crime happens. 5 a.m. until then to like solve this crime and catch the dudes. Otherwise, it's going to be all of their asses. He's kind of picked 5 a.m. out of the mid-air. I'm sure he had a reason for it. But at like 4:37 or something along those lines, or 4:32, something like that, he goes, you've got less than an hour to catch this guy. He's got less than half an hour. Bloody learn how to tell the time, idiot. There are many rounds fired in this film, but you only see one reload, to the best of my knowledge. And I am very surprised that the cops didn't accidentally shoot Chad, because, you know, American cops have got form for that, but Mike, I think, is a black guy, and he's wearing a suit at the end, and he's running through the streets, and they open fire on him, like, without question. And then he avoids their fire. And then Chad, who is chasing him, is a black guy in a suit, and he like runs the same place, and they don't shoot him. I was like, oh, good lord. Account for every round that's fired, or maybe even Chaz said it to them, whatever. But like, imagine the ball ache of paperwork is going to be with like all the dead cops, all the harassed civilians, and all the reckless driving in this film. Dangerous. FBI dudes. One of them disappeared. I can't remember if I've already mentioned that. Anyway, but they were like, oh, shut the island. And the FBI guy's like, what island? You've just been talking about how Manhattan is the only place that these guys could go. Pay attention. He obviously wasn't listening. Chad knew an awful lot about the city's transports. That's how he was able to list off there's 21 bridges, there's 3 tunnels, there's 1 hot air balloon or whatever. Shut it all down. So I think if he'd been given a bit of character, not only perhaps would he have been tempted to take a bribe, or maybe his mum might have been ill and there's a conflict there, but I think he might have revealed he actually wanted to be a travel agent, not an avenging angel cop. Mike, one of the cop killers, he's like, it's said that he's not a bad guy, he's just kind of in this life of crime, and he proves that by not shooting people, instead whacking them in the face and knocking them unconscious with his gun. Check him for brain damage, mate, that's not really good. Also, he is trying to escape, as he would, and he puts on a disguise of a stolen suit and a pair of glasses he also stole. And he wears those glasses for approximately 30 seconds before, like, I'm done. Oh yeah, and there was a random dude who Mike stole a suit and some glasses from in a hotel, and he had a better password than the money laundering dude that you meet in the film. And the money laundering dude, he is involved in a life of crime. He's got many locks on his door, but that door is not bulletproof. You would have thought he'd made a bulletproof door. Or bought one, you know. There's also a chase through a building. It's intense, you know, Chad's going after Mike. Both of them are running like Terminators. The only thing that could slow them down is being hit by a car, but they both get straight back up. Anyway, they're running through this building, like, the corridors are filled with staff and there's like things piled against doors. Place is a fire hazard. It's mental. Yeah, seems like about it. So, oh right, yeah, one more thing. In a film where they're like showing the character's backstory and like looking through their file or whatever, and it's you see a picture that's like obviously photoshopped their faces on someone else's body. They do this. So like Mike and Ray, the thieves, you see you see Ray in the army with Mike's older brother. but the picture is so bad, it's just ridiculous. Why not just, you've got the actors, make them dress up as soldiers, take a picture. It could have been standing in front of a brick wall, you wouldn't have known. But there, anyway. Yeah, rating out of 5 beers. I like the detail-orientated motherfucker bit. That was quite funny. I was confused as to why the drugs kingpin man who said it was like on an exercise bike at 3 in the morning. No, it was 1 in the morning, and his lady friend was dressed like she was going out. It was a very confusing scene, but it was quite funny. Apart from that, it was very paint by numbers. I felt like nothing surprised me at all, and it didn't really feel like there was any challenge to Chadwick Boseman. Anyway, yeah, 3 out of 5. Right.